Mino Raiola. Just these two words can make some fans go crazy. The media labeled him arrogant and greedy, and the managers of various teams were wary of dealing with him. Yet time and time again, he struck deals worth tens of millions of dollars with commissions that seemed to be out of this world. But how did this scruffy guy in a wrinkled t-shirt manage to repeatedly put the pressure on top clubs? Why did the stars like Haaland, Zlatan or Paul Pogba dream of working with Mino? How did Raiola become the first superstar agent? Today I will tell you everything about the man who forever changed football with his approach and deals. Football gangster. Mino Raiola, like any true mafioso, had hot Italian blood running through his veins. However, he spent his childhood and youth far from southern Italy. In the late 60s, his parents moved to Haaland, a town in the north of the Netherlands. Mino's father brought a piece of his homeland along, opening a pizzeria called Napoli. There, the future football magnate began to learn about business. In the morning, he signed contracts with mozzarella suppliers. In the afternoon, he did the accounting, and in the evening, he negotiated deals with important people in the city. At 17, Mino started the company Intermezzo, aimed at helping Dutch firms conduct business in Italy. At 19, he earned his first million by selling a plot of land he bought for next to nothing. By age 20, the self-assured Raiola no longer recognized any authority. He talked on equal terms with everyone, a cheesemaker, a builder, or the president of a football club. Every Friday, he would argue about football with the boss of the local FC Haaland. I was always telling him that he knew nothing about football. One day, he pulled me aside and said, "Listen, you try it." He appointed me as sporting director. However, Raiola's first managerial experience was hardly successful. The small, dusty office didn't suit Raiola's explosive character and high ambitions. After quickly falling out with everyone, Mino left Haarlem. Having pulled off the biggest transfer in the club's history, the sale of Arthur Newman to Twente for €341,000. The transfer opened Mino's eyes. Why slave away in an office for pennies when he could milk these clubs for thousands of euros on each deal? This is how Raiola ended up at the sports promotions agency. He was in the right place at the right time. Back in the early 90s, all the top young Dutch players dreamed of moving to the strongest league in the world, Serie A, and the bilingual Mino could help them. The Dutch-Italian transferred Brian Roy, Wim Jong, Frank Rijkaard, Dennis Bergkamp and others to Italy. But Mino saved his best deals for his solo career. One such transfer was Pavel Nedved's move from Lazio to Juventus in the summer of 2001. Negotiations were tough. The sides couldn't agree on contract terms, and Pavel was already considering giving up. Before the final round of negotiations, when the player planned to inform the Bianconeri of his decision, Juventus bosses leaked the player's arrival time and location to the journalist. As a result, the following morning, newspapers reported on the transfer of the Czech to their rivals. Lazio fans cursed the player, and Nedved himself was cornered. Taking advantage of the situation, Juve offered him a blank contract with no numbers in the salary section. Everything was heading towards another mega successful deal for the touring club and unfair terms for the player. But then, a hefty man in sunglasses bursted into the Juventus office. The war began. Juventus director said, "Alright, we'll give you this much money." Then I told them, "I changed my mind. I don't want this much. I want that much." "You are crazy," they responded. There was a lot of arguing and yelling. In the end, they agreed on everything. How did Raiola manage to pressure the Juve management? His natural assertiveness and almost insane audacity came in handy. That's the subject of the next chapter. Brainwashing. Raiola was the king of trash talk. While other agents preferred to work behind the scenes, Mino put on a real show. He compared De Laurentiis to Mussolini, called Pep Guardiola a cowardly dog, FIFA President Blatter a demented dictator, and Platini simply incompetent. It seemed Mino only spared the guts. No, Zlatan also got his share at one point. When it became clear that Ibrahimovic had outgrown Ajax, the Swede started looking for an agent capable of moving him to a top club. A journalist acquaintance suggested two options. One worked for Beckham, and the other seemed like a mafioso. Naturally, Zlatan contacted the second one. Ibra wanted to impress the top agent. He arrived at the meeting in a Porsche, wearing a Gucci leather jacket and a gold watch. As Zlatan waited, he anticipated a guy strolling through the door in a pinstripe suit. "What did I see turn up?" Zlatan wrote. "A guy in jeans, a Nike t-shirt, and with a stomach like one of the guys in The Sopranos." He sat down and immediately started lecturing Zlatan about his poor performance, empty boasts, and laziness in training. Yet the arrogant Swede listened. Why? Coming from an immigrant ghetto, Ibrahimovic immediately understood the man in front of him was like him, tough, yet reliable and honest, ready to fight the whole world at once. Raiola told him to sell the car and other bling-bling. Hard work, he added, would be everything. The luxuries would come on the back of plain success. This is how Mino influenced Ibra's mentality. Largely thanks to the agent, the Swede gradually transformed into a warrior on the field and a living legend beyond it. Mino gave a similar motivational speech to a young Lukaku when he was just trying to establish himself in the Chelsea squad. When I was not in a good moment, he was the one who said the reality. You play like a woman, you play like a girl who has never played the game. What I'm doing now is credit to him also. He picked my brain mentally because I was at a very low place at the time. Raiola didn't just give harsh truth to his client, he was audacious with everyone. He threw chairs at Dortmund's bosses to secure Mkhitaryan's transfer to Man United, locked Zlatan up in his own house to force Ajax to agree to sell the Swede to Juventus, and in Turin, he put his feet on the desk, demanding better contract terms for his client. And all those tough measures paid off. Big shots in pinstripe suits trembled in front of Raiola as he continued to twist them around his finger, simultaneously putting money in his pocket, making 18-year-old Donnarumma the highest-paid goalkeeper in Serie A, no problem. A crazy $1 million contract for Gigi's brother Antonio, who at the time was miles away from the senior team? Here you go. Giving a 39-year-old Zlatan the fattest salary on the team? Easy. And those are just Mino's tricks in Milan. The agent similarly milked other clubs. Just look at Mario Balotelli's career. Despite all his antics, Raiola managed time and time again to place him in respectable clubs. That's because Mino was a true professional. He knew when to raise the stakes to achieve better terms for himself and his client, and when to let things cool down to maintain friendly relations with the management. Cracking the transfer market. Mino's success is due to hard work, says Dutch journalist Van de Velde, who has known Raiola since the agent was just starting. In search of young talents, Mino watched dozens of football matches daily, even from lower leagues. On one such evening, analyzing a game in the first Norwegian league, Raiola noticed a player who was still unknown but already mature beyond his years. This player was 16-year-old Erling Haaland. Mino immediately saw the boy's immense potential and went to his club Molde the same day to sign a contract with his parents. Once again, he did it before anyone else, before the journalist, before the football analyst, before the scouts of top clubs. It sounds arrogant. I saw every change in the football world coming before it happened, stated Mino Raiola in an interview with the Financial Times. And these weren't empty words. Foreseeing the scandal in Italian football, Raiola began preparing Zlatan's transfer to Inter a year before Calciopoli. And when Serie A clubs started running out of money in the early 2010s, he quickly moved his top clients to prosperous leagues. But Raiola wasn't a magician. There is a simple and logical explanation for his predictions. Mino was an incredibly intelligent man. He was fluent in 7 languages, could see through people, and could talk anyone into anything. Zlatan characterized his agent as a genius negotiator, and it's hard to disagree. Time and time again, Raiola persuaded the top clubs where Ibrahimovic played to sign his Brazilian friend Maxwell. Together, they played for Ajax, Inter, Barcelona, and PSG. In general, the arrogant Mino always managed to find common ground with the bosses of top clubs. He placed his clients in almost all the major teams in Europe, and each time it was about high salaries and huge sums. Tish Slaggers, the journalist who introduced Raiola to Ibrahimovic, said, "From what I've heard from people, he can calculate faster in his head than somebody with a calculator." Being a step ahead was Mino's way of life. He knew better than anyone in the world how to choose the right club for a young mega talent. Therefore, despite the interest from Man United, Barcelona, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, and Arsenal, Raiola decided not to rush things and persuaded Haaland to choose the less prestigious Borussia Dortmund, where the young forward could steadily progress. The 18-year-old star of the Man United Academy, Paul Pogba, followed the agent's advice as well. Noticing that United didn't seriously count on the young Frenchman, Raiola moved Pogba to Juventus, which desperately needed another creative midfielder. Later in Turin, Pogba became one of the leading players of his generation, made it into the Ballon d'Or shortlist, and won the Golden Boy Award in 2013. When Sir Alex Ferguson was asked how Pogba's transfer to Juventus became possible, he replied, "He had a bad agent, a sackback. But the great manager was wrong. Mino was the best in his field. In 2016, when Man United decided to bring their academy star home, they had to face a true red devil of the transfer market. Raiola turned Pogba's deal into a real auction. First, he compared Pogba to Salvador Dali's paintings in the press, thus inflating his price tag. Then he offered Pogba to Barcelona and PSG, and just a few days before the deal was done, he even took the midfielder on vacation to New York, where Real Madrid was holding their training camp at the time. This was all a part of the plan. In the end, the Man United bosses couldn't take it anymore and were panicked into paying a crazy 105 million euros, while the agent declared Juventus could have sold him for 200 million to Real Madrid, so Man United actually saved themselves 100. This deal would make Pogba the most expensive footballer in history at the time, and Mino Raiola, in the eyes of fans and the media, a man for whom only one thing mattered in life: money. Whatever you want, as long as you pay me. Raiola's striking phrase is recalled by Andrea Pirlo in his autobiography, and that's the whole Mino. While other agents take no more than 10% of the final transfer fee for their work, his commissions were comparable to the income of entire clubs. For example, as the commission for Haaland's transfer to Dortmund, Mino bled 15 million euros from the Germans, while Erling's previous club, RB Salzburg, received only 5 million more in the transfer fee. And for brokering Pogba's transfer to Man United, the cunning salesman received a never-seen-before in the agent world 49 million euros, almost half of the final transfer fee. This is because Mino represented the interest of all three parties in the deal. Watch closely. Paul Pogba had a deal with Mino Raiola, obligating the agent to secure the player the best possible contract terms. Man United approached Raiola to guarantee the midfielder's transfer to Old Trafford, while Juventus sought his services to maximize their profit from the deal. This gave Raiola the tools to drive Pogba's transfer fee through the roof. Under the terms of his contract with Juventus, Raiola received 18 million euros if the midfielder was sold for 90, plus an additional 3 for every 5 million increase beyond that figure. Furthermore, Man United paid the insatiable agent 22 million allegedly for protecting their interest in the deal. You might say it is fraud. That's what FIFA's leadership thought too, launching an investigation into the agent. In the end, the disciplinary committee found no conflict of interest and allowed the transfer to proceed, but Raiola still took offense. He vowed to destroy the Football Federation, questioning the purpose of its existence, and even attempted to run for Sepp Blatter's position. Shady schemes, enormous ambitions, and financial manipulations, these aren't the only things connecting Raiola to the criminal underworld. With the hefty commission from Pogba's sale, Mino bought a luxury villa in Miami, previously owned by Al Capone, the godfather of the Italian mafia. The media constantly referred to him as an agent with mob manners, and the man himself earned no less than Don Corleone. Due to his enormous fees and commissions and rude remarks in the press, thousands of fans worldwide hate Raiola. Even his clients joke about the atmosphere of hatred surrounding him. For example, Ibrahimovic ironically commented on the Dutchman's greed on social media. Yet according to Raiola, money is far from the most important thing in his life. The point with commission is, do I earn a lot or do I earn too much? Today, a big club is worth 4 billion. It's all in proportion. Money is part of the show, and besides, it's not money that motivates me. In reality, the most important thing for Raiola is players' love. Despite the hate from fans, Raiola is adored by his clients. Players know that thanks to Mino's work, they will always have the best conditions. Paul Pogba became the highest paid player in the Premier League the second he landed in Manchester. Matthias de Ligt started earning more than Juventus legends from the moment he signed. Zlatan's salary grew year after year before his departure to the United States. But something else is even more important. Mino always defends his clients. He likes to tell this anecdote. There was a club that couldn't take care of their bonuses with the players. After 3 months of negotiations, the players went to the club and said, "Listen, we cannot stand it anymore. We are not professional negotiators and we would like an agent to do this for us." The club said, "That's a good idea. It's okay for you to bring in any agent that you want except for Mino Raiola." That was just one example among many more. Mino made it known to clubs that the fate of his players is his fate too. He defended Donnarumma in the press when he was attacked by Milan fans, called Klopp a piece of shit for not giving Balotelli a chance, and clashed with Barcelona when Pep Guardiola benched Ibrahimovic. Many agents are afraid to fight for the player when they are negotiating with the club for the simple reason that they might fall out of favor and will not be able to do business with the club in the future. Mino does not care. His player comes first. Furthermore, Raiola is not only a top agent for his footballers, but also a responsive and caring friend. He is constantly in touch and ready to help and support them in any situation. I have always followed the motto, how would I act if the player was my son? After all, I only want the best for my sons, the agent said. When Balotelli, who else if not him, set his apartment on fire by launching fireworks in the bathroom, Mino was the first person he called for help. He found a house for Paul Pogba in Manchester and advised him on where to invest the money. For one of his Spurs clients, Brian Roy, Raiola helped with renovations on his new apartment. These stories largely explain why players need agents in the first place. Many modern footballers are like overgrown children and are simply incapable of coping with the challenges of adult life. They can't manage their routines, handle their finances, and protect their interests against the club. That's why they need brave guys like Mino Raiola. I don't just want to carry my player's bags in his career, I want to put something in the bag. And that's not only the money, it's experience, it's life, said the agent in an interview. Ending. On April 30th, 2022, the legendary agent passed away. The football world was instantly flooded with hundreds of messages of love and gratitude. Ibrahimovic dedicated his last Scudetto with Milan to Mino. Balotelli called him his second father in a farewell message, and Henrik Mkhitaryan left a touching post. I will miss you, my agent, my best friend, my family. You will be with us forever. It's always like this with greats. They can't be put into the good or bad framework. For some fans, Raiola is the epitome of everything evil in modern football, a symbol of the game's transformation into a soulless business. For others, he was a man who redefined the role of an agent and turned transfer windows into a real show, something fans anticipate as much as their favorite team's games. In the hearts of his clients, Mino will forever remain a wonderful fat idiot who could find a solution to any problem. And who was Mino Raiola for you? Write in the comments. See you soon, know the ball.